The world as you know it is not what it appears to be. What you call reality is nothing more than the outward expression of your inner beliefs, your inner conversations, your inner assumptions about yourself and your world. Every single thing you experience, every circumstance, every condition, every relationship, every success, every failure, all of it is the inevitable result of what you have assumed to be true about yourself and your life. Now, I know what you are thinking. You are looking at your present circumstances, perhaps filled with challenges, with difficulties, with what appears to be evidence to the contrary of what I am telling you. You point to your bank account, to your relationships, to your health, to your career, and you say, but Neville, look at my life. How can you tell me that everything works out for me when I can clearly see that it does not? And this is precisely where most people remain trapped, my friends. They look at the world of effects and try to change the effects. They look at their circumstances and try to manipulate their circumstances. They look at their conditions and try to alter their conditions through physical effort alone. But I tell you now, as clearly as I can, you cannot change your life by changing your circumstances. You can only change your circumstances by changing your life from within. The secret that I am sharing with you tonight is this: you must learn to live from the assumption that everything always works out for you, regardless of what your senses are telling you, regardless of what your past experience has been, regardless of what others are telling you is possible or impossible. You must take on the feeling, the inner knowing, the absolute certainty that you are the kind of person for whom things work out magnificently. This is not positive thinking, my friends. This is not mere optimism or hope or wishful thinking. This is something far more powerful and far more practical. This is the recognition and the application of the fundamental law of consciousness, that consciousness is the only reality, and that what you are conscious of being, you become. When I tell you to act as if everything always works out for you, I am asking you to take on a new identity, a new conception of yourself. I am asking you to become the person who naturally expects good things to happen, who naturally assumes that doors will open, that opportunities will present themselves, that solutions will appear, that people will help them, that circumstances will align in their favor. But here's what most people do not understand. This assumption, this inner knowing, this feeling of being someone for whom everything works out, this must become as natural to you as breathing. It cannot be something you put on like a coat when you remember to do so. It cannot be something you practice only when you are in a good mood or when things are going well. It must become your very nature, your default state of being, your automatic response to every situation that presents itself in your life. Let me tell you how this works in practical terms. When you truly embody the assumption that everything always works out for you, your entire relationship with life changes. When a challenge presents itself, instead of immediately going into fear, worry, or anxiety, you find yourself naturally assuming that this challenge is simply a bridge to something better, the pathway to a greater good, the necessary step in the unfolding of your greater success. When an opportunity appears to be delayed or denied, instead of feeling defeated or discouraged, you automatically know that something even better is being prepared for you, that the delay is actually divine timing working in your favor, that what appeared to be a closed door was simply redirecting you toward an open door that leads to something far more wonderful than you had originally imagined. When people seem to oppose you or circumstances seem to work against you, instead of taking it personally or feeling victimized, you instinctively understand that these apparent obstacles are actually the resistance that is strengthening you, the friction that is polishing you, the very forces that are sculpting you into the person you need to become to receive what you truly desire. This assumption that everything always works out for you becomes a lens through which you see all of life. It becomes the filter through which you interpret every experience. It becomes the foundation upon which you build every decision, every action, every response to whatever life presents to you. Now you may ask, but Neville, how do I develop this assumption when my experience has been different? How do I convince myself that everything works out for me when I can point to numerous examples in my past where things definitely did not work out the way I wanted them to? This is the crucial point, my friends. You cannot build this assumption by looking backward. You cannot create this new identity by examining your past. The past is dead. The past has no power except the power you give it by continuing to live from it, by continuing to use it as evidence for what is possible or impossible in your future. To develop this assumption, you must live from the end. You must live from the feeling of being someone for whom everything always works out. You must imagine how it would feel to wake up each morning with the absolute certainty that this day will bring you exactly what you need for your highest good. You must imagine how it would feel to approach each challenge with the inner knowing that this challenge is actually an opportunity in disguise. You must imagine how it would feel to interact with others from the assumption that they too are part of the perfect unfolding of your life. This feeling, this assumption, this inner knowing, this is what you must cultivate and practice until it becomes as natural to you as your own heartbeat. And the beautiful thing is, the moment you begin to live from this assumption, life begins to rearrange itself to match your assumption. The moment you begin to act as if everything always works out for you, everything begins to work out for you. But remember, my friends, this is not magic in the sense that you can live carelessly or irresponsibly and expect everything to magically fall into place. When I say everything always works out for you, I mean that when you live from this assumption, you will find yourself naturally making better decisions, naturally taking inspired action, naturally attracting the right people and opportunities, naturally being in the right place at the right time. The person who truly believes that everything always works out for them does not sit passively waiting for good things to happen. They move through life with confidence and purpose. They take action from a place of faith rather than fear. They speak up when they need to speak up. They pursue opportunities that align with their vision. They persist when others would give up. Not because they are forcing something to happen, but because they know that their persistence will lead them to exactly where they need to be. This assumption affects every area of your life. In your relationships, when you assume that everything always works out for you, you stop trying to control or manipulate others. You stop taking their behavior personally. You stop assuming the worst about their intentions. Instead, you naturally trust that the right people will be drawn to you, that conflicts will resolve in everyone's highest good, that love will find you and flourish in your life, in your career. When you assume that everything always works out for you, you stop competing from a place of scarcity. You stop fearing that there is not enough success to go around. You stop believing that you have to sacrifice your integrity or your well-being to achieve your goals. Instead, you naturally move toward opportunities that are aligned with your values and your vision. You trust that your unique talents and contributions will be recognized and rewarded. You know that the right career path will unfold before you. In your finances, when you assume that everything always works out for you, you stop operating from fear and lack. You stop making decisions based on what you cannot afford. You stop believing that money is scarce or that you are not worthy of abundance. Instead, you naturally make wise financial decisions from a place of confidence and faith. You trust that money will flow to you in perfect timing and in perfect amounts to support your highest good. In your health, when you assume that everything always works out for you, You stop fearing illness and aging. You stop assuming that your body is working against you. You stop believing that you are victim to genetics or circumstances beyond your control. Instead, you naturally make choices that support your vitality and well-being. You trust that your body has infinite wisdom and healing capacity. You know that you can maintain radiant health throughout your life. The key to making this assumption real in your life is to start living from it right now, regardless of what your current circumstances appear to be. Do not wait for evidence that everything is working out for you before you begin to assume that everything always works out for you. That is backward thinking. The evidence will follow the assumption, not the other way around. Start today by catching yourself when you begin to worry, doubt, or fear. In those moments, gently remind yourself, I am someone for whom everything always works out. Do not try to figure out how it will work out. Do not try to force a specific outcome. Simply rest in the knowing that it will work out, and that it will work out in a way that is for your highest good, even if it is not exactly the way you originally imagined. Start today by interpreting every experience through this new lens. When something appears to go wrong, ask yourself, how might this actually be working out for me? When an opportunity is delayed, ask yourself, what better opportunity might this delay be making room for? When someone disappoints you, ask yourself, how might this be protecting me or redirecting me towards something better? Start today by making decisions from this assumption. Instead of asking, what if this doesn't work out? Ask yourself, since I know this will work out for my highest good, what action feels most aligned and inspired? Instead of planning for failure, plan for success. Instead of protecting yourself from disappointment, open yourself to possibilities that exceed your current imagination. The transformation that occurs when you truly live from this assumption is nothing short of miraculous. You will find that anxiety and worry naturally fall away because there's no longer anything to worry about. You will find that decision-making becomes easier because you trust that any sincere decision will lead you to where you need to be. You will find that relationships improve because you are no longer trying to control outcomes or protect yourself from disappointment. You will also find that opportunities begin to appear that you never could have planned for or even imagined. Doors open that you did not even know existed. People enter your life who contribute to your success and happiness in ways you never expected. Resources become available exactly when you need them. Solutions present themselves for problems that once seemed insurmountable. This is not coincidence, my friends. This is law. This is the natural result of living from the assumption that everything always works out for you. When you embody this assumption, you literally become a magnet for good fortune, for right timing, for perfect synchronicities, for what others call luck, but what you will recognize as the inevitable outworking of your inner conviction. But perhaps most importantly, when you live from this assumption, you discover a peace and a joy that is independent of your circumstances. You no longer need everything in your external world to be perfect in order for you to pass. You no longer need to control every outcome in order to feel secure. You no longer need constant validation from others in order to feel worthy. Instead, you carry within yourself an unshakable knowing that all is well, that you are exactly where you need to be, that everything is unfolding in perfect timing for your highest good. This inner peace becomes the foundation from which you create your life, and from this foundation, you can only create beauty, harmony, success, and joy. Now, I want to address something that often concerns people when they first hear this teaching. They worry that if they assume everything always works out for them, they will become passive or complacent. They fear that they will stop working hard or stop striving for improvement. Let me assure you that the opposite is true. When you truly believe that everything always works out for you, You become more active, not less active, because your actions are no longer motivated by fear, desperation, or the need to force outcomes. Instead, your actions flow from inspiration, from joy, from the excitement of participating in the wonderful unfolding of your life. The person who assumes everything always works out for them does not sit back and wait for things to happen. They move forward with confidence, knowing that every step they take is supported by the universe. They take risks that fear-based thinking would never allow. They pursue dreams that others consider impossible. They persist through challenges that would stop others in their tracks, not because they are stubborn, but because they know that every challenge is simply part of the journey to their inevitable success. This assumption also does not mean that you will never face difficulties or challenges. It means that when you do face them, you will meet them with an entirely different state of consciousness. Instead of seeing challenges as evidence that life is working against you, you will see them as evidence that life is working for you, preparing you, strengthening you, redirecting you towards something even better than what you originally had in mind. Every challenge becomes an opportunity to prove to yourself that everything indeed does work out for you. Every obstacle becomes a chance to demonstrate your faith in the fundamental goodness and intelligence of life. Every setback becomes a setup for a comeback that exceeds your previous level of success and happiness. This is why I emphasize that you must act as if everything always works out for you, not just think it or hope it or wish it. Acting as it means embodying this truth in your daily life, in your decisions, in your responses, in your interactions with others. It means living from this assumption so completely that it becomes who you are, not just something you believe. When you act as if everything always works out for you, you naturally become more generous because you know there is always enough. You become more patient because you trust in divine timing. You become more loving because you are not protecting yourself from disappointment. You become more creative because you are not limiting yourself to what seems realistic or practical. You become more courageous because you know that even if things do not go according to your original plan, they will work out for your highest good. The ripple effects of this assumption extend far beyond your personal life. When you embody the truth that everything always works out for you, you become a source of hope and inspiration for others. Your faith becomes contagious. Your peace becomes magnetic. Your joy becomes a gift to everyone you encounter. Others will notice that there is something different about you, something they cannot quite put their finger on. They will see that you handle challenges with unusual grace, that you approach opportunities with uncommon confidence, that you treat setbacks as temporary inconveniences rather than permanent defeats. They will witness your life working out in ways that seem almost too good to be true, and they will begin to wonder if perhaps the same could be possible for them. This is how consciousness spreads, my friends. This is how the world is transformed, one person at a time, one assumption at a time, one life at a time. When you truly embody the assumption that everything always works out for you, you become living proof that life is good, that the universe is friendly, that there is intelligence and love operating behind all circumstances. But you must start with yourself. You must be willing to take the leap of faith, to live from this assumption even when your senses tell you otherwise, even when others think you are being unrealistic, even when your past experience seems to contradict what I am telling you. I promise you this: if you will commit to living from this assumption for the next 30 days, if you will act as if everything always works out for you regardless of what appears to be happening in your life, you will begin to see evidence that will astound you. You will begin to experience synchronicities that will amaze you. You will begin to attract opportunities and resources and relationships that will exceed your current imagination. But more than that, you will begin to experience a fundamental shift in your relationship with life itself. You will move from feeling like a victim of circumstances to knowing yourself as a conscious creator of your experience. You will move from reacting to life to responding to life from a place of power and wisdom. you will move from surviving life to thriving in life. This assumption that everything always works out for you is not just a nice philosophy or a positive affirmation. It is a recognition of the truth of your being. You are not separate from life. You are not at the mercy of forces beyond your control. You are consciousness itself, expressing as a unique, magnificent human being. And consciousness always works out for itself because consciousness is all there is. When you truly understand this, when you truly embody this, when you truly live from this knowing, your entire world transforms. What once seemed impossible becomes inevitable. What once brought fear brings excitement. What once created anxiety creates anticipation. What once felt like struggle feels like adventure. This is the life that awaits you, my friends. This is the life that is your birthright. This is the life that becomes available to you the moment you decide to act as if everything always works out for you. Not tomorrow, not when your circumstances improve, not when you feel more confident or more prepared, but right now, in this very moment. The choice is yours. You can continue to live from the assumption that life is difficult, that success is limited, that disappointment is inevitable, that you must struggle and fight for everything you want. Or you can choose to live from the assumption that everything always works out for you, that life is conspiring in your favor, that every experience is designed to contribute to your growth and happiness and success. I invite you to make this choice consciously, deliberately, courageously. I invite you to step into the assumption that everything always works out for you and to live from this assumption so completely that it becomes your new identity, your new reality, your new life. The moment you make this choice, the moment you begin to act as if everything always works out for you, you will discover that it always has and it always will. This is not something you need to create or achieve or earn. This is something you need to recognize and accept and embody. Everything is always working out for you because you are life itself, expressing in human form. Everything is always working out for you because there is only one consciousness, one intelligence, one love, and you are that. Everything is always working out for you because that is the nature of consciousness, to know itself as good, as whole, as perfect, as eternally expanding into greater expressions of love and joy and beauty. This is your truth, my friends. This is your reality. This is your life waiting for you to claim it, to live it, to be it. Act as if everything always works out for you and discover that it always does. Imagine for a moment that you are standing before a vast ocean. The waves crash upon the shore, each one unique, yet part of the greater whole. You, my dear listener, like that ocean, boundless, powerful, and filled with untapped potential. But how often do you recognize this truth? How often do you look within and acknowledge the divine spark that resides in your very being? Too many of us spend our days feeling adrift, lost in a sea of external circumstances and opinions. We allow the noise of the world to drown out the whispers of our own inner wisdom. But I say to you now with absolute certainty that the key to finding your way, to unlocking the treasures of your true self, lies not in the outside world, but within you. To focus on yourself is not an act of selfishness, as some might have you believe. No, it is the most profound act of love and respect you can offer to the world. For when you tend to the garden of your own soul, you cultivate beauty in abundance that naturally overflows to all those around you. Consider the acorn. Within its humble shell lies the blueprint of a mighty oak. It does not look to other trees to know how to grow. It does not seek permission from the forest to reach for the sky. It simply turns inward, taps into the wisdom encoded in its very essence, and becomes what it was always meant to be. You, my friend, are no different. Within you lies the seed of greatness waiting to be nurtured and brought forth into the world. But to do so, you must first recognize and embrace this fundamental truth. You are the author of your own story, the creator of your own reality. The feeling of being lost stems from a disconnection from your true self. It is the result of looking outward for answers that can only be found within. When you focus on yourself, you begin to peel away the layers of conditioning and false beliefs that have obscured your vision. You start to hear the quiet voice of your intuition, guiding you towards your true path. Let us delve deeper into this concept. Imagine your mind as a vast, unexplored territory, mountains of untapped potential, valleys of hidden talents, rivers of creativity flowing through the landscape of your consciousness. By focusing on yourself, you become the intrepid explorer of this inner world. Each day becomes an opportunity for discovery, for unearthing the treasures that lie dormant within you. But how, you may ask, does one begin this journey of self-focus? The answer, my dear friends, lies in the power of your imagination. For your imagination is not mere fantasy or idle daydreaming. It is the very workshop of creation, the place where your desires and your reality intersect. When you feel lost, close your eyes and imagine yourself as you truly wish to be. See yourself confident, purposeful, radiating with inner peace and joy. Feel the sensation of being that person, of embodying those qualities. For in that moment of imagination, you are planting the seed of your future self in the fertile soil of your subconscious mind. This is not mere positive thinking or wishful daydreaming. This is the deliberate use of your God-given faculty of imagination to reshape your self-concept and consequently your entire world. For as within, so without. The world you experience is but a reflection of your inner state of being. To focus on yourself means to take responsibility for this inner world. It means to carefully tend to the garden of your mind, pulling out the weeds of doubt and fear, and planting the seeds of faith and possibility. It means to be vigilant about the thoughts you entertain, the emotions you cultivate, and the beliefs you hold dear. Many of you have been taught that to focus on yourself is somehow wrong or selfish. But I say to you, it is the highest form of service you can offer to the world. For how can you give what you do not possess? How can you lead others out of the darkness if you yourself are lost? By focusing on your own growth, your own alignment with your highest self, you become a beacon of light for others to follow. Consider the great leaders and visionaries throughout history. They did not achieve greatness by conforming to the expectations of others or by losing themselves in the opinions of the masses. No, they dared to look within, to trust their own inner guidance, and to bring forth the unique gifts that only they could offer to the world. You, my dear listener, have a unique purpose, a divine mission that only you can fulfill. But to discover and live this purpose, you must first come home to yourself. You must learn to silence the external noise and listen to the whispers of your own heart. This journey of self-focus is not always easy. It requires courage to face your fears, to confront the limiting beliefs that have held you back. It demands discipline to consistently choose thoughts and actions that align with your highest vision for yourself. But I assure you, the rewards are beyond measure. As you begin to focus on yourself, you will find that the feeling of being lost gradually dissolves. It is replaced by a deep sense of knowing, a certainty about who you are and what you are here to do. This is not arrogance or egotism. It is simply the natural state of a being who has remembered their true identity as a divine creator. Imagine waking up each morning with a clear sense of purpose, feeling fully aligned with your true self. Imagine moving through your day with unshakable confidence, knowing that you are exactly where you need to be, doing exactly what you are meant to do. This is not a distant dream or an unattainable ideal. This is your birthright, and it becomes your reality when you commit to focusing on yourself. But let me be clear, focusing on yourself does not mean isolating yourself from others or ignoring the world around you. On the contrary, as you become more centered in your true self, you naturally become more connected to all of life. You begin to see the divine in every person you meet, to recognize the interconnectedness of all things. Your relationships improve because you no longer seek validation or completion from others. You come to each interaction whole and complete in yourself, offering your authentic presence as a gift. Your work becomes more fulfilling because it flows from your true passions and talents rather than from a sense of obligation or the need to prove your worth. The key to this transformation lies in your ability to harness the power of your imagination. For your imagination is the bridge between your current reality and the life you desire to live. It is through the consistent, deliberate use of your imagination that you reshape the self-concept, and consequently, your entire world. When you feel lost or overwhelmed, I urge you to pause and turn within. Close your eyes and imagine yourself as the person you wish to be. See yourself moving through life with purpose and grace. Feel the emotions of joy, confidence, and inner peace that naturally arise from living as your true self. Hold this image and these feelings with unwavering faith, knowing that what you can conceive and believe, you can achieve. This practice of imaginative self-focus is not a one-time event. It is a way of life, a continuous process of aligning your thoughts, feelings, and actions with your highest vision for yourself. It requires persistence and patience, for the outer world does not always change overnight. But I assure you, as you remain faithful to this inner work, your outer world will inevitably conform to your new self-concept. Remember, the feeling of being lost is merely a sign that you have temporarily disconnected from your true self. It is an invitation to turn inward, to reconnect with the wisdom and power that reside within you. Embrace this feeling as a catalyst for growth, as an opportunity to deepen your self-knowledge and strengthen your faith in your own divine nature. As you focus on yourself, you may encounter resistance, both from within and without. Old habits of thinking and behaving may try to reassert themselves. Others in your life may not understand or support your journey of self-discovery. But do not let these obstacles deter you. They are merely tests of your commitment, opportunity to reinforce your new self-concept, and demonstrate the power of your focused imagination. Think of yourself as a sculptor, chiseling away at a block of marble to reveal the masterpiece within. Each day, with each thought and action, you are sculpting your life, revealing more and more of your true self. The feeling of being lost diminishes with each stroke of the chisel, with each act of self-focus and self-alignment. But remember, my dear friends, this work of self-focus is not about reaching a final destination. It is not about becoming a perfect, flawless version of yourself. It is about embracing the journey of continuous growth and self-discovery. It is about falling in love with the process of becoming, of unfolding more and more of your infinite potential. As you focus on yourself, you will find that your definition of success changes. No longer will you measure your worth by external standards or the opinions of others. Instead, you will find fulfillment in being true to yourself, in expressing your unique gifts, in living each day with authenticity and purpose. The world needs you to focus on yourself. It needs you to stop feeling lost and to step into the fullness of who you truly are. For when you do, you become a living example of what is possible. You inspire others to look within themselves, to uncover their own hidden treasures. Imagine a world where each person is fully aligned with their true self, expressing their unique gifts and living their divine purpose. This is not a utopian fantasy. It is the natural result of each individual choosing to focus on themselves, to nurture their own growth and self-realization. As you embark on this journey of self-focus, remember that you are never truly alone. The same power that created the stars and set the planets in motion resides within you. It is always available to guide you, to support you, to illuminate your path. Trust in this power. Lean into it. Allow it to work through you as you focus on becoming the highest version of yourself. The feeling of being lost is not your natural state. It is a temporary condition that arises when you forget your true identity, when you look outside yourself for direction and validation. But I say to you now, everything you need is already within you. The answers you seek, the peace you crave, the purpose you long for, all of these are waiting to be discovered within the depths of your own being. To focus on yourself is to embark on the greatest adventure of your life. It is a journey of self-discovery, of self-creation, of self-realization. It is the path to true freedom, to unshakable peace, to boundless joy. And it begins with a simple choice, the choice to turn inward, to trust your own inner guidance, to believe in the power of your own imagination. As you make this choice day after day, moment by moment, you will find that the feeling of being lost gradually fades away. It is replaced by a deep sense of knowing, a certainty about who you are and why you are here. You begin to move through life with grace and ease, fully present in each moment, fully expressing your unique gifts. But let me caution you, this journey of self-focus is not always comfortable. It will challenge you to confront your fears, to question your long-held beliefs, to step out of your comfort zone. There will be moments of doubt, moments when the old feeling of being lost tries to reassert itself. In these moments, remember that discomfort is often a sign of growth. Embrace it as evidence that you are expanding, evolving, becoming more of who you truly are. As you focus on yourself, you may find that certain relationships or situations in your life begin to change. This is natural and necessary. Just as a snake must shed its old skin to grow, you too must be willing to let go of anything that no longer serves your highest good. Trust in this process of renewal and transformation. Know that as you align more fully with your true self, you naturally attract people and circumstances that support your growth and reflect your new self-concept. Remember, my dear friends, that to focus on yourself is not a selfish act. It is the most loving thing you can do for yourself and for the world. For as you nurture your own growth, as you cultivate your own inner peace and joy, you naturally become a source of inspiration and upliftment for others. Your very presence becomes a blessing, a reminder to all who encounter you of their own divine potential. So I urge you, stop searching outside yourself for direction or validation. Stop allowing the opinions and expectations of others to dictate your path. Turn within and focus on yourself. Explore the vast landscape of your own consciousness. Uncover the treasures that lie hidden within you. Trust in the wisdom of your own heart, in the power of your own imagination. As you do this, you will find that the feeling of being lost becomes a distant memory. It is replaced by a deep sense of purpose, a knowing that you are exactly where you need to be, doing exactly what you are meant to do. You move through life with grace and ease, fully present in each moment, fully expressing your unique gifts. This, my dear friends, is what it means to truly live. This is what it means to fulfill your purpose. And it all begins with the simple yet profound choice to focus on yourself, to believe in your own inherent divinity, to trust in the power of your own imagination to shape your reality. So I say to you now, with all the love and conviction in my heart, focus on yourself. Stop feeling lost. Embrace the magnificent being that you truly are. Step into the fullness of your divine potential. For in doing so, you not only transform your own life, but you contribute to the transformation of the entire world. Remember, you are not here by accident. You are not a random collection of cells and experiences. You are a divine being, created in the image and likeness of God, endowed with the power to create your reality through the focused use of your imagination. Embrace this truth. Live from this understanding and watch as your life unfolds in ways more beautiful and miraculous than you ever dared to dream. As we draw this talk to a close, I want you to take a moment to reflect on what you've heard. Feel the truth of these words resonating within you. Recognize that the power to change your life, to find your purpose, to stop feeling lost has always been within you. It is not something you need to acquire or achieve. It is your birthright, waiting to be claimed. From this moment forward, commit to focusing on yourself with unwavering dedication. Commit to nurturing your inner world, to cultivating thoughts and feelings that align with your highest vision for yourself. Commit to using your imagination deliberately and consistently to shape your self-concept, and consequently your reality. As you leave this place and return to your daily lives, carry this message with you. Let it be a beacon of light guiding you back to yourself whenever you feel lost or overwhelmed. Remember that within you lies infinite potential, waiting to be expressed. You are the author of your own story, the creator of your own reality. Focus on yourself, my dear friends. Stop feeling lost. Step into the magnificence of who you truly are. For in doing so, you not only transform your own life, but you become a living example of what is possible for all of humanity. You become a light in the world, illuminating the path for others to follow. Go forth with confidence, with faith, with an unwavering commitment to your own growth and self-realization. Know that as you focus on yourself, as you align more fully with your true nature, you naturally fulfill your divine purpose. You become a blessing to the world simply by being your authentic self. Remember, the feeling of being lost is not your natural state. It is merely a sign that you have temporarily forgotten who you truly are. But now you know the truth. Now you have the tools to reconnect with your inner wisdom, to tap into your infinite potential, to create the life you desire. So I say to you one last time, focus on yourself. Stop feeling lost. Embrace the journey of self-discovery and self-creation. Trust in the power of your imagination to shape your reality. Believe in the divinity within you and watch as miracles unfold in your life. You are more powerful than you know. You are more loved than you can imagine. You are here for a divine purpose. Embrace this truth. Live from this understanding and let your light shine brightly in the world. For in doing so, you not only fulfill your own destiny, but you inspire others to do the same. Go now with my blessings and with the full knowledge of your own divine nature. Focus on yourself. Stop feeling lost and step into the fullness of who you truly are. The world is waiting for your unique gifts, for the expression of your true self. Do not keep it waiting any longer. The time is now. You are ready. Embrace your power. Embrace your purpose. Embrace the magnificent being that you are. And so it is. Let me make one thing abundantly clear at the outset of our discussion. When I speak of God ordering your steps, I am not referring to some external deity who manipulates your life like pieces on a chessboard. No. I am speaking of the God who is your own wonderful human imagination, the God who is the very consciousness that dwells within you. For consciousness is the one and only reality, and your consciousness is God in action. Tonight I wish to share with you how God, your own wonderful human imagination, orders your steps every single day. For once you truly comprehend this principle, you will never again feel lost, abandoned, or at the mercy of chance. You will know with absolute certainty that every event, every encounter, every circumstance in your life is divinely orchestrated by the God within you. Let us begin with a fundamental truth. The world that you perceive is nothing more than a mirror reflecting the contents of your consciousness. As within, so without. Your inner assumptions, beliefs, and feelings are continually being projected outward and solidified into what you call your reality. This is how God orders your steps through the power of your assumptions. Consider for a moment what you assume to be true about yourself, about others, about the world at large. These assumptions, these fixed beliefs, are not mere thoughts. They are creative forces that shape and mold the substance of your experience. When you assume that life is difficult, that people cannot be trusted, that success is beyond your reach, you are, in that moment, ordering your steps toward experiences that will confirm these assumptions. Conversely, when you assume the best, when you dwell in the certainty that you are guided, protected, and divinely supported, you are ordering your steps toward manifestations of these higher truths. This is the law, and the law is God in action. But how, you might ask, does this process unfold in the practical reality of your day-to-day life? Let me illustrate with a simple example. Imagine that you awaken in the morning with a feeling of joy and anticipation. You dwell in the assumption that this day will bring wonderful opportunities and delightful encounters. As you move through your day, you find yourself naturally drawn to certain locations, certain people, certain activities. Perhaps you decide on a whim to take a different route to work, or to visit a cafe you've never been to before. In that cafe, you meet someone who introduces you to an idea or opportunity that perfectly aligns with a desire you've been nurturing in your heart. Was this chance? Was it coincidence? No, my dear friend. It was God ordering your steps. The assumption of joy and opportunity that you embodied in the morning was the divine directive that orchestrated each moment of your day, leading you unerringly to the fulfillment of that assumption. Now let us delve deeper into the mechanism by which God orders your steps. Everything begins with a state of consciousness. A state is a mood, an attitude, a feeling about yourself or life. At any given moment, you are dwelling in a particular state, and from that state, certain behaviors, thoughts, and actions naturally flow. If you are in a state of anxiety, you will think anxious thoughts, notice potential threats in your environment, and take actions designed to protect yourself from perceived danger. If you are in a state of confidence, you will think empowering thoughts, notice opportunities in your environment, and take bold actions aligned with your desires. The key to allowing God to order your steps in a way that leads to the fulfillment of your desires is to consciously choose the state from which you operate. This choice is made not through intellectual decision-making, but through the feeling, the emotion, the conviction that the desired state is already yours. In my own experience, I have witnessed this principle in action countless times. I recall a period in my life when I desired to share these teachings with a wider audience. Instead of striving and struggling to make this happen through external means, I simply assumed the feeling of already being a successful teacher and author, reaching thousands with this message of truth. From that state of fulfilled desire, I found myself naturally taking certain steps, making certain decisions, speaking certain words, all of which led, with what appeared to be miraculous precision, to opportunities that allowed this desire to materialize in my world. But there was no miracle involved, only the perfect, immutable law of consciousness. This law operates with mathematical precision. Just as 2 must equal 4, so must your assumptions, persisted in, crystallize into objective facts in your world. This is how God orders your steps, not through capricious intervention or arbitrary favor, but through the flawless operation of law. But I hear your objection, Neville. If God is ordering my steps, and God is my own wonderful human imagination, why do I experience unwanted events? Why do I encounter obstacles and difficulties? Surely I am not consciously imagining these challenges. The answer lies in what I call your mental diet, the sum total of the thoughts, beliefs, and assumptions that you have accepted as true over the course of your life. Many of these were implanted in your consciousness during childhood by well-meaning parents, teachers, and authority figures, and figures also were operating from limited understanding. Others were formed through your interpretation of past experiences. These beliefs and assumptions operate below the threshold of your conscious awareness, silently directing your steps toward experiences that confirm them. This is why self-examination is so crucial. You must become aware of the contents of your consciousness if you would take control of the direction of your life. I tell you now, with absolute conviction, that there is no force outside of your own consciousness that can dictate the course of your life. There is no fate, no luck, no chance that can override the creative power of your assumptions. God, your own wonderful human imagination, orders your steps in perfect accordance with what you accept as true. Let me share with you a principle that has transformed countless lives, the principle of revision. Revision is the art of mentally rewriting past events to align with your desires. If you have experienced something unwanted, you can, in your imagination, revise that event to unfold as you would have preferred. In doing so, you alter not only your memory of the past, but also the trajectory of your future. Why does revision work? Because time as we experience it in this three-dimensional world is an illusion. There is only the eternal now, the present moment in which all possibilities exist simultaneously. When you revise the past in your imagination, you are not pretending or fantasizing, you are actually selecting a different reality from the infinite array of possible realities that exist within your consciousness. Through revision, you cleanse your mental diet of toxic assumptions and beliefs that have been ordering your steps toward unwanted experiences. You replace these with empowering assumptions that will, with the same precision, order your steps toward desired experiences. But perhaps the most profound aspect of God ordering your steps is this: the ultimate purpose behind every event, every encounter, every circumstance in your life is to awaken you to your true identity as God. Everything that happens to you, whether you label it as good or bad, is designed to lead you to this supreme realization. This is why I urge you not to judge the events of your life by appearances. The encounter that seems most challenging may be the very catalyst needed to propel you toward a greater understanding of your divine nature. The disappointment that feels most bitter may be the precise experience required to dissolve a limiting belief that has been holding you captive. God orders your steps not for your comfort, but for your awakening. And in that awakening lies a joy and a freedom that transcends all worldly pleasure and success. Consider the story of Joseph in the Bible. Sold into slavery by his brothers, imprisoned unjustly, forgotten by those he helped from all outward appearances. Joseph's steps were being ordered towards suffering, yet each of these seemingly tragic events was positioning him precisely where he needed to be to fulfill his ultimate purpose and realize his divine identity. When Joseph finally revealed himself to his brothers, he spoke these profound words: "But as for you, ye thought evil against me, but God meant it unto good." Joseph recognized that despite the appearances of evil, God was ordering his steps toward a greater good that could not have been accomplished through any other sequence of events. In your own life, can you look back at events that seemed tragic or painful at the time they occurred, only to discover later that they were essential steps leading you toward a greater good? This is the wisdom of hindsight. But I tell you that you need not wait for the passage of time to gain this perspective. You can know right now that regardless of appearances, God is ordering your steps toward your highest good, your complete awakening. But how do you align yourself with this divine orchestration? How do you consciously participate in the ordering of your steps? The answer is both simple and profound. You must live from the end. To live from the end means to assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, to dwell in the absolute certainty that what you desire is already yours, not as a future possibility, but as a present fact. When you live from the end, you are not trying to make something happen. You are acknowledging what already is in the realm of consciousness, which is the only reality. This principle is beautifully illustrated in Scripture. Therefore I say unto you, what things soever ye desire, when ye pray, believe that ye receive them, and ye shall have them. To believe that you receive before you see external evidence is the essence of living from the end. It is the recognition that in consciousness, in imagination, in the only reality that truly exists, your desire is already fulfilled. When you live from the end, God orders your steps with flawless precision toward the manifestation of that end in your three-dimensional experience. You need not concern yourself with the how or the when. Your only responsibility is to remain faithful to the assumption that your desire is already yours. This fidelity to your assumption is what Scripture calls faith. Faith is not hoping or wishing. It is the conviction of the reality of things not yet seen with the physical eye. It is knowing that what is true in consciousness must by law materialize in experience. I recall a lady who attended my lectures in New York. She desired a specific apartment in a building that had no vacancies. Instead of focusing on the apparent impossibility of her desire, she began to live from the end. Each night before sleep, she would imagine falling asleep in that very apartment, feeling the satisfaction of already living there. She persisted in this assumption for several weeks, never wavering despite the fact that there was no external evidence to support her claim. Then, through a series of events that no human intellect could have planned or predicted, the exact apartment she desired became available, and she was offered the lease. Was this coincidence? No, it was God ordering her steps in perfect alignment with her persistent assumption. The feeling of living in that apartment, which she faithfully maintained in her imagination, was the divine directive that orchestrated every event leading to its physical manifestation. This lady did not have to manipulate circumstances or persuade people. She did not have to plot and plan and struggle. She simply had to assume the feeling of her wish fulfilled, and from that state of fulfillment, God ordered her steps unerringly toward the objective embodiment of her desire. Now, let me address a question that often arises: if God is ordering my steps, and God is my own wonderful human imagination, do I have free will? Am I truly making choices, or is everything predetermined? The answer is both profound and paradoxical. You have absolute freedom to choose the state of consciousness from which you operate. This is your divine right, your divine gift, and no person or circumstance can deprive you of it. However, once you have chosen a state, the thoughts, feelings, actions, and experiences that flow from that state are determined by the nature of the state itself. If you choose a state of wealth consciousness, you will naturally think, feel, and act in ways consistent with that state, and your experiences will reflect this consciousness back to you. If you choose a state of poverty consciousness, your thoughts, feelings, actions, and experiences will likewise align with that choice. This is the true meaning of free will. It is not the freedom to control external events or to manipulate the behavior of others. It is the freedom to choose the state of consciousness from which you observe and interact with the world. And this choice is absolutely determinative of your experience. So you see, God's ordering of your steps is not a limitation of your freedom, but the very mechanism through which your freedom expresses itself. By choosing your state of consciousness, you are essentially instructing God, your own wonderful human imagination, how to order your steps. And this brings us to a vital point. The ordering of your steps is not a process that unfolds only occasionally or in response to specific prayers or intentions. It is happening continuously in every moment of your existence, whether you are conscious of it or not. Your assumptions are constantly being projected outward and returning to you as the experiences of your life. This is why I emphasize the importance of mindfulness, of being attentive to the contents of your consciousness. What are you assuming right now? What state are you dwelling in? The answer to these questions will reveal the direction in which your steps are being ordered. If you find yourself in a state that does not align with your desires, remember that you have the freedom to choose again. You are never locked into any state of consciousness. At any moment, you can shift your assumption and thereby alter the course of your life. But how does one make this shift? It is not through force of will or through positive thinking as it is commonly understood. It is through the art of feeling, of experiencing in imagination the reality of the desired state. To shift from a state of lack to a state of abundance, you must feel the relief, the security, the freedom that abundance would bring. To shift from a state of loneliness to a state of loving relationship, you must feel the joy, the companionship, the intimacy that such a relationship would provide. The feeling is the secret. The feeling is the prayer. The feeling is the directive that orders your steps toward the manifestation of your desire. And here, my dear friends, we touch upon a mystery so profound that it has eluded the greatest minds throughout human history. The mystery is this: the feeling of the wish fulfilled, persisted in, will order your steps, not only toward the manifestation of that wish, but the transformation of your very being. For the ultimate purpose of existence is not the accumulation of possessions or experiences, as wonderful as these may be. It is the realization of your divine identity, the awakening to the truth that you are God expressing himself as a unique human personality. This awakening is what Scripture calls the birth from above. It is the moment when you no longer believe in God as an external entity, but know yourself to be God in human form. And every event in your life, every step that has been ordered by your assumptions, has been leading you toward this supreme realization. I tell you truly, once you have awakened to your divine identity, you will look back on your life and see that every event, every encounter, every circumstance, whether you labeled it as fortunate or unfortunate, at the time was an assignment for divine orchestration leading you to this awakening. You will see that there were no mistakes, no wrong turns, no wasted experiences. All was perfectly ordered according to the law of consciousness, the law that is God in action. And in that recognition, you will feel a gratitude so profound that it transforms your understanding of the entire human journey. Let me illustrate this with a personal experience. Many years ago, I found myself in a situation that, by all external measures, appeared to be a devastating setback. I had invested considerable time and resources in a venture that failed completely, leaving me in a state of financial uncertainty. In that moment, I had a choice. I could assume that I was a victim of circumstance, that life was unfair, that my steps were being ordered toward hardship and lack. Or I could assume that this apparent setback was actually a divine redirection, ordering my steps toward a greater purpose that I could not yet perceive with my physical senses. I chose the latter assumption, not as a form of positive thinking or wishful optimism, but as a recognition of the law of consciousness that I knew to be true. I lived from the end of having already transcended this temporary challenge and having been led to a greater expression of my purpose. Within weeks, through a series of events that no human intellect could have orchestrated, I was introduced to opportunities that not only resolved the financial situation, but opened doors to share these teachings with audiences I would never have reached had the original venture succeeded. Looking back, I can see with perfect clarity that what appeared to be a setback was, in fact, God ordering my steps with flawless precision toward the fulfillment of my true purpose. And this is true not only in my experience, but in yours as well. Every experience you have ever had, every step you have ever taken, has been perfectly ordered to lead you to this moment, to this understanding, to this opportunity to awaken to your divine identity, and to consciously participate in the ordering of your steps. So how, in practical terms, do you align yourself with this divine orchestration? How do you consciously participate in God's ordering of your steps? Let me offer you specific guidance. First, clarify your desire. What is it that you truly want to experience? Not what you think is possible based on your current circumstances, but what would you choose if you knew that all things were possible to the God within you? Once you have clarity of your desire, construct a scene that would imply its fulfillment. This scene should be simple, concise, and imply that your desire is already a reality. Perhaps it is a conversation with a friend in which you share the good news of your desire's fulfillment. Perhaps it is simply the feeling of relief and satisfaction that would accompany the realization of your wish. With your scene constructed, enter into a state of relaxation. This is crucial, for the subconscious mind, which is the creative power of God within you, is most receptive when the conscious mind is temporarily suspended. Just before sleep is an ideal time for this practice, as the transition from wakefulness to sleep naturally bypasses the analytical, critical faculties of the conscious mind. In this relaxed state, enact your scene in imagination. See it clearly, hear the sounds that would accompany it, feel the emotions that would arise from the fulfillment of your desire. Make the scene as vivid and as real as possible, involving all your senses. Most importantly, feel the reality of what you are imagining. The feeling is the secret. The feeling is the prayer. The feeling is the directive that orders your steps toward the manifestation of your desire. Repeat this practice nightly, or whenever you find yourself in a quiet, receptive state. Do not be concerned with how or when your desire will materialize. Your responsibility is not to figure out the process, but to remain faithful to the feeling of the wish fulfilled. As you go about your daily activities, maintain the assumption that your desire is already a reality in consciousness, which is the only reality. This does not mean denying the evidence of your senses or pretending that conditions are other than they appear to be. It means knowing that appearances are merely shadows, reflections of past assumptions, and that the newly established assumption will, in due course, replace these shadows with the substance of your desire. Throughout your day, whenever doubts or contradictory evidences present themselves, quietly return to the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Do not fight against negative thoughts or feelings. Simply withdraw your attention from them and redirect it to the assumption of fulfillment. This practice persisted in will order your steps with divine precision toward the manifestation of your desire. You need not concern yourself with the specific actions you should take or the decisions you should make. From the state of fulfilled desire, you will naturally think the thoughts, feel the feelings, and take the actions that lead to its externalization. But remember, the greatest desire, the ultimate purpose toward which all your steps are being ordered, is the realization of your divine identity. Every lesser desire, when fulfilled, is designed to lead you toward this supreme realization. So as you practice this art of conscious assumption, do so not only for the fulfillment of specific desires, but for the awakening to your true self. Assume the feeling, I am God, expressing as this unique human personality. Live from that assumption and watch as your steps are ordered toward experiences that confirm and deepen this truth. In the final analysis, God's ordering of your steps is not about controlling external events or accumulating possessions and experiences, as delightful as these may be. It is about awakening you to who you truly are and have always been, God Himself individualized as you. Every event in your life, every step you have taken, has been leading you toward this supreme realization. And once you have awakened to this truth, you will look back on your journey with profound gratitude, recognizing that all was perfectly ordered according to the divine pattern woven into the very fabric of your being. My dear friends, as we bring this discussion to a close, I want to leave you with a thought so powerful, so transformative, that if you truly embrace it, your life will never be the same. The God who is ordering your steps is not separate from you, is not external to you, is not other than you. The God who is ordering your steps is the very consciousness in which you live and move and have your being. You are that God expressing Himself as this unique human personality, this specific pattern of thinking and feeling and perceiving. And the more fully you embrace this truth, the more consciously you can participate in the ordering of your steps. So I say to you now, with all the conviction of my being, assume a divinity. Live from the certainty that you are God expressing in human form. Feel the peace, the power, the limitless potential that this realization brings. And from that state of divine self-awareness, watch as your steps are ordered with flawless precision toward experiences that reflect and confirm your true identity. Remember, the feeling is the secret. The feeling of being God in human form, of being the divine consciousness that orders all things according to its nature, is the most powerful assumption you can make. Live from that feeling, and you will witness a transformation in your life so profound that you will pound in awe of the perfection with which your steps have been and are being ordered. I thank you for your attention, for your openness to these truths, and for your willingness to test them in the laboratory of your own experience. For that is where all truth must ultimately be verified, not in the realm of theory or belief, but in the lived reality of your daily life. Go now in the awareness of your divine identity and watch as God orders your steps toward the fulfillment of your desires and the realization of your true self. For I tell you truly, as you assume your divinity, as you live from the certainty that you are God expressing in human form, your steps will be ordered with such divine precision that you will look back on this moment as the beginning of a new and glorious chapter in your eternal existence. In the words of Scripture, the steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, and He delighteth in His way. Go forth now in the knowledge that you are that Lord, ordering your own steps through the power of your divine imagination. And in that knowledge, in that assumption, In that feeling lies the freedom and the power to create the life you desire to live. Thank you, and good night. When I speak of preparation for the final plan, I am not speaking of physical preparations of any kind. I am not telling you to store food, to buy gold, to retreat to the mountain. No, the preparation I speak of is a spiritual awakening to your true identity. For you are not just a man or woman of flesh and blood, you are spirit. You are consciousness, you are imagination, the very essence of God himself. In the book of John, we read, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. This word, this logos, is not something outside of you. It is the foundational reality of being. It is your own wonderful human imagination. And in April 2025, those who have discovered this truth will experience the culmination of the divine plan. Now let me tell you what this plan entails. The final plan of God is the awakening of man to the realization that he is God. Not a part of God, not a creation separate from God, but God himself individualized. This is the mystery of mysteries, the secret that has been veiled in all the greatest traditions of the world. Why April 2025? Because time, my dear friends, is not what you have been taught to believe. Time is not a linear progression from past to future. Time is a dimensionality of consciousness. And in the divine economy, certain moments hold a concentrated power, a potentiality that can be realized by those who are awake to it. April 2025 represents such a moment. It is a cosmic alignment, a convergence of spiritual forces that have been set in motion since the foundation of the world. Those who are prepared, those who have discovered the power of their own wonderful human imagination, will step into a new dimension of being. Let me share with you a personal experience. 3 months ago, I had a vision. In this vision, I saw the date I3 Tribe 5 written in golden letters across the sky. And beneath this date were the words, "The promise fulfilled." I did not understand the full import of this vision at that time, but it was impressed upon my consciousness with such vivid clarity that I knew it held profound significance. 2 weeks later, I had a dream. In this dream, I was standing before a great multitude of people, and a voice that seemed to emanate from the very depths of my being, said to me, "Tell them to prepare for the final plan. Tell them that in April 2025, that which has been written will be fulfilled." What is it that has been written? It is the promise contained in the scriptures. I will put my law within them, and I will write it on their hearts, and I will be their God, and they shall be my people. This is not speaking of an external law, a set of rules to be followed. It is speaking of the law of consciousness, the principle that consciousness is the one and only reality. The preparation for this final plan is simple, yet it requires a complete reorganization of your thinking. You must set aside everything you have been taught about God as an external being separate from yourself. You must cease looking to the skies for salvation. For the kingdom of God is within you, and the power that you seek is your own wonderful human imagination. Each of you sitting here tonight is an aspect of the divine imagination individualized for a purpose. And that purpose is about to be revealed in its fullness. The veils that have separated you from the knowledge of your true identity are about to be rent asunder. Now, let me explain the practical application of this truth. If you would prepare for the plan in April 2025, you must begin now to exercise the divine power that is your birthright. And that power is the power of assumption. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Whatever it is that you desire, health, wealth, love, creative expression, assume that you already possess it. Feel the reality of its possession. Fall asleep in that assumption night after night. For in the depth of sleep, when your conscious mind is at rest, your subconscious mind accepts the impressions you have given it. And what is impressed upon the subconscious must be expressed. This is the law, and it cannot fail. For the subconscious mind does not argue, it does not question. It simply accepts what is impressed upon it as fact and proceeds to bring about the circumstances necessary for the expression of that fact. But you must persist. You must not allow the evidence of your senses to dissuade you from your assumption. For remember, the physical world is but a shadow, a reflection of consciousness. And consciousness is the one and only reality. I recall a lady who came to me in dire straits. Her husband had abandoned her and their 3 children. They were facing eviction from their home. She had no job, no prospects, and her family had turned their backs on her. I told her, assume that your life is now full of abundance and joy. Assume that all your needs are met. Assume that you are loved and supported. She looked at me with tears in her eyes and said, but that is not my reality. How can I assume what is so blatantly contradicted by the facts of my life? I replied, the facts of your life are the outpicturing of your past assumptions. Change your assumptions, and you change the facts. This is the law. Reluctantly, she agreed to try. Each night before sleep, she would close her eyes and imagine that she was in a beautiful home, surrounded by her children, all of them well-fed, well-clothed, and happy. She would imagine opening her mailbox to find checks made out to her name. She would feel the sense of security, of abundance, of being loved and cared for. 3 weeks later, she received a phone call from a cousin she had not spoken to in years. This cousin had just started a business and needed someone to manage the office. She offered my friend the position with a salary that was more than adequate to meet her need. Furthermore, the cousin owned several rental properties and offered her a lovely home at a nominal rent. Within a month, my friend's entire life had been transformed. Was this a coincidence? There are no coincidences in a universe governed by law. It was the natural, inevitable result of the operation of consciousness. The final plan of God in April 2025 is the universal awakening to this truth. Those who have practiced the law, who have lived by the power of assumption, will lead the way. They will be the forerunners, the pioneers of a new age of consciousness. Now you might ask, what if April 25 comes and goes and nothing happens? My answer to you is this: something will happen, but it may not be what your limited understanding expects. The fulfillment of the divine plan is not a spectacle for the senses. It is an inner awakening, a transfiguration of consciousness. Remember the words of Scripture. The kingdom of God does not come with observation, nor will they say, see here or see there, for indeed the kingdom of God is within you. The final plan is not an external event, but an inner realization. Let me share with you another experience. 2 years ago, I was in meditation when I was shown a vision of the world as it will be after April 2025. I saw humanity transformed, not by some external intervention, but by the power of awakened imagination. In this vision, men and women walked the earth as gods. They had discovered the divine power within them and were exercising it consciously, deliberately. Disease, poverty, conflict, these had all but disappeared, not because some external savior had removed them, but because humanity had awakened to its power to create reality through consciousness. This is the world that awaits us beyond April 25. It is a world where man has reclaimed his divine inheritance, where he has remembered who he really is, God himself individualized. But the path to this new world begins with you, here now. It begins with your willingness to test the law, to prove it in the laboratory of your own life. Start with something small if you must. If you can't yet believe in the transformation of your entire life, begin with a single aspect. If you are facing a health challenge, assume perfect health. If you are struggling financially, assume abundance. If your relationships are strained, assume harmony and love. And as you prove the law in these smaller matters, your faith will grow and you will begin to apply it to greater and greater things. For there is no limit to what you can achieve through the power of your own wonderful human imagination. April 2025 is not far off. The time to prepare is now. And the preparation is not external but internal. It is a reorientation of consciousness, a shifting of your point of awareness from the limited self, the self that is subject to circumstances, to the unlimited self, the divine I am that creates circumstances. This is what Jesus meant when he said, I and my Father are one. He was not claiming a unique status for himself. He was revealing a universal truth about the nature of consciousness. The I am within you is God. When you say I am, you are invoking the name of God. And whatever you attach to that divine name, whatever state you assume, you are calling into manifestation. If you say I am sick, you are condemning God to sickness. If you say I am poor, you are condemning God to poverty. For the I am is God, and God can only be what you allow him to be in your consciousness. This is the blasphemy of which humanity has been guilty throughout the ages. Using the divine name I am to affirm limitation, lack, and disease. And this is the repentance that is called for. A change of mind, a turning away from such limited conceptions of self to the realization of your divine nature. The final plan in April 2025 is the universal recognition of this truth. It is the dawning of the age of imagination, where man lives consciously from his divine center, creating reality in accordance with his highest ideals. But you need not wait for April 2025 to experience this transformation. You can begin to live from your divine center now. You can begin to exercise the power of assumption today. And as you do, you will become a forerunner, a harbinger of the new age that is to come. There is a story in the scriptures that beautifully illustrates this principle. When the Israelites were about to enter the promised land, Joshua sent spies ahead to scout the territory. Most of the spies returned with fearful reports of giants in the land, of fortified cities, of insurmountable obstacles. But Caleb and Joshua saw things differently. They said, we are well able to overcome it. Why did they see what the others could not? Because they were looking through the eyes of faith. They were exercising the power of assumption. They were not denying the existence of the giants or the fortified cities. They were simply refusing to accept these as final facts. They were seeing beyond the current reality to the desired end. This is what I am asking of you tonight. Look beyond the apparent facts of your life, the limitations, the obstacles, the giants in the land to the desired end. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Live from that assumption. And watch as the facts of your life begin to reorganize themselves to conform to your assumption. April 2025 represents the prophesied time when this power of assumption will be recognized universally. It is the time of the revealing of the sons of God, those who have awakened to their divine nature and are exercising the power of the God within. Now, there will be signs preceding this great awakening. Already we see the old structures crumbling, the institutions that have been built on a false conception of reality, on the idea of separation, on the belief in external powers greater than the human imagination. These must give way to make room for the new consciousness that is emerging. Do not fear these changes. They are necessary. The dissolution of the old is always a prerequisite for the birth of the new. Just as a seed must disintegrate before the plant can emerge, so the old conception of reality must dissolve before the new can be born. In your personal life, you may experience a similar process. As you begin to live from your divine center, as you exercise the power of assumption, you may find that certain relationships, certain situations, certain aspects of your life begin to fall away. Do not resist this process. It is the necessary clearing of the ground for the new structures that will arise from your awakened consciousness. Remember, the universe is infinitely plastic. It is responsive to consciousness. It will configure itself according to your dominant assumptions. If you assume health, it will present you with the phenomena of health. If you assume wealth, it will present you with the phenomena of wealth. If you assume love, it will present you with the phenomena of love. This is not magical thinking. It is not wishful thinking. It is the operation of law. A law as inexorable as gravity, as reliable as the movement of the planets in their orbits. The final plan of God in April 2025 is the universal recognition of this law. It is the awakening of humanity to the creative power of consciousness, to the divinity that resides within each individual. Those who have prepared themselves, those who have discovered and applied the law of assumption, will lead the way. They will be the teachers, the way showers, the exemplars of the new consciousness. So how do you prepare? By living now as if you were already the person you desire to be, by assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled, by identifying with the divine I am rather than with the limited self that is subject to circumstances. This requires discipline. It requires vigilance. For the old habits of thought and feeling will not surrender without a struggle. The evidence of your senses will contradict your assumption. The opinions of others may challenge your new self-concept. Doubt will arise within your own mind. But you must persist. You must hold fast to your assumption. You must live from the end, not from the present circumstance. For the present circumstance is but the shadow of past assumptions. It has no power to determine your future unless you give it that power by your attention and belief. Each of you has had experiences that validate this principle, though you may not have recognized them as such. There have been times in your life when you simply knew that something would come to pass, when you had an unshakable faith in a particular outcome, and that outcome manifested, not because it was predetermined by external forces, but because your consciousness decreed it. These experiences were not anomalies. They were demonstrations of the law that governs all manifestation, the law that consciousness is the one and only reality, and that the world of form is but the outpicturing of consciousness. April 2025 represents the time when this law will be universally recognized and applied. It is the fulfillment of the prophecy, "They shall all know me, from the least of them to the greatest." Who is this me that shall be known? It is the divine I am, the creative consciousness that is the essence of every individual. It is the God within, the only God there ever was or ever will be. The preparation for this final plan is your awakening to this truth now. It is your willingness to test the law, to prove it in the laboratory of your own life. It is your commitment to living from your divine center rather than from the periphery of sense experience. Begin today. Choose a desire that seems reasonable to you, something that you can believe in without strain. Assume that it is already fulfilled. Feel the reality of its fulfillment. Live from that assumption and watch as the universe reconfigures itself to match your assumption. As your confidence grows, as you prove the law in the smaller things, you will begin to apply it to greater and greater aspects of your life. You will become aware of the limitless power that is your birthright. You will step into your divine inheritance. And when April 2025 arrives, you will be prepared. You will be among those who lead to the new age of consciousness, the age where man lives the divine being he truly is. Remember, this is not about escaping the world. It is about transforming it through the power of awakened imagination. It is about bringing heaven to earth, not by looking to the skies, but by looking within to the kingdom of God that resides in every human heart. The scripture says, "Behold, I make all things new." This is not speaking of an external deity remaking the world. It is speaking of the divine I am within you, making all things new through the creative power of assumption. April 2025 is the appointed time for the universal recognition of this truth. But for you, the time is now. The place is here. The power is within you. I have shared with you tonight the secret of the ages, the mystery that has been kept hidden since the world began. It is the most practical, most usable knowledge you will ever acquire. For it puts you in touch with the source of all creation, with the power that brings worlds into being. Use it wisely. Use it lovingly. Use it to create a life that reflects your highest ideals, your noblest aspirations. Use it to contribute to the transformation of human consciousness that is now underway and will reach its culmination in April 2025. And know this as you transform your own consciousness. As you awaken to your divine nature, you contribute to the transformation of collective consciousness. You become a light in the darkness, a beacon showing the way for others. This is true meaning of service. It is not sacrifice. It is not suffering. It is the joyful expression of your divine nature, the sharing of the gift that you have discovered within yourself. So go forth from this place tonight with a new understanding of who you are and what you are capable of. Go forth with the knowledge that the power of God is not something outside of you, but the very essence of your being. Go forth with the commitment to live from your divine center. to exercise the power of assumption to be the change you wish to see in the world. And as April 2025 approaches, watch for the signs of the final unfolding, not in the external world, but in the transformation of consciousness that is spreading across the globe. For the kingdom of God comes not with observation, but within the hearts and minds of awakened individuals. You are those individuals. You are the harbingers of the new age. You are the forerunners of the final plan. And as you live from your divine center, as you exercise the power of your wonderful human imagination, you make straight the way for the yoni that waken in April 2025. So I leave you with this charge: be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Put off the old man, the limited self-concept that has bound you to a life of limitation, and put on the new man, the awakened self that knows its divine nature and exercises its creative power. For you are not just a man or woman of flesh and blood. You are spirit. You are consciousness. You are imagination, the very essence of God himself. And in April 2025, this truth will be known by all, from the least to the greatest. But for you, the time of knowing is now. The time of living from this knowledge is now. The time of transforming your life through the power of assumption is now. Go in peace. Go in power. Go in the absolute knowledge that you are divine, that you are the creator of reality, that you are the God you have been seeking. For it is written, the kingdom of God is within you. And in April 2025, this kingdom will be fully revealed, not as a divine, but as the consciousness that is the essence of every individual. The preparation begins with you here now. It begins with your willingness to test the law, to prove it in the laboratory of your own life. It begins with your commitment to living from your divine center rather than from the periphery of sense experience. So I urge you, assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Live from the end. Be the person you desire to be. For as you assume, so shall it be unto you. This is the law, and it cannot fail. April 2025 is not just date on the calendar. It is Vince. It is here the power that draws forth the truth, the core of the eclectic imagination. The final plan is not something imposed from without. It is the flowering of the divine seed that has been planted within each of you. And the time of that flowering is at hand. Prepare then, not with fear, not with anxiety, but with joyful anticipation. For the kingdom that is about to be revealed is the kingdom of your own divine consciousness, the kingdom that has always been within you, waiting to be recognized and expressed. In April 2025, that kingdom will be fully revealed, and those who have prepared, those who have discovered and applied the law of assumption, will lead humanity into a new age of consciousness, an age where man lives as the divine being he truly is. This is the promise. This is the prophecy. This is the final plan of God for the transformation of human consciousness. And it begins with you here now. So go forth and create the life that reflects your highest ideals, your noblest aspirations. Go forth and contribute to the transformation of collective consciousness. Go forth and be the light that this world so desperately needs. For you are that light. You are the hope of the world. You are the divine presence incarnate, the God of gods walking the earth in human form. April 2025 is the appointed time for the universal recognition of this truth. But for you, the time is now. The place is here. The power is within you. Use it wisely. Use it lovingly. Use it to create a world that reflects the divine nature of its creator, you, the awakened I Am. For in the final analysis, there is only one creator, one source, one God, the divine consciousness that is the essence of every individual. And in April 2025, this truth will be known by all, from the least to the greatest. But for you, the time of knowing is now. The time of living from this knowledge is now. The time of transforming your life through the power of assumption is now. So I leave you with this blessing. May the God in you awaken to his true identity. May the divine I am within you claim its rightful inheritance. May the power of your wonderful human imagination transform not only your life, but the life of the world. For you are divine. You are eternal. You are the creator of your reality. And in April 2025, this truth will be the foundation of a new world, a world created not by external forces, but by the awakened consciousness of divine individuals like you. The final plan is unfolding. The appointed time is approaching. The transformation of human consciousness is underway, and you are at the forefront of this great awakening, this return to the knowledge of our divine nature, this remembering of who we really are. So let us prepare for April 2025, not with fear, not with anxiety, but with joyful anticipation. For the kingdom that is about to be revealed is the kingdom of our own divine consciousness, the kingdom that has always been within us, waiting to be recognized and expressed. In that recognition, in that expression, lies the salvation of the world. Not a salvation imposed from without, but a transformation from within, a transformation of consciousness that will manifest as a transformation of reality. This is the final plan. This is the divine intention. This is the destiny toward which all of creation has been moving since the foundation of the world. And we are privileged to be alive at this pivotal moment in human history, this cusp between the old consciousness and the new, this threshold between the world as it has been and the world as it shall be. April 2025 marks the culmination of this transformation, but the transformation itself is already underway. It is happening now, in this very moment, in the awakening of individual consciousness to its divine nature and creative power. So let us embrace this transformation. Let us be the forerunners of the new age. Let us live now from our divine center, exercising the power of assumption, creating the reality that reflects our highest ideals and noblest aspirations. For in doing so, we not only transform our own lives, we contribute to the transformation of collective consciousness. We become part of the final plan, the divine intention for the evolution of human consciousness. This is our calling. This is our destiny. This is our divine inheritance. And April 2025 is the appointed time for its full realization. Let us prepare then, not with outward actions, but with inward transformation. Let us awaken to the God within. Let us exercise the divine power that is our birthright. Let us be the change we wish to see in the world. For as we do, we make straight the way for the universal awakening that will culminate in April 2025. We become the harbingers of the new age, the forerunners of the final plan, the wayshowers for humanity's return to its divine heritage. This is the greatest service we can render to the world. It is not sacrifice. It is not suffering. It is the joyful expression of our divine nature, the sharing of the gift we have discovered within ourselves. So go forth with this knowledge. Go forth with this power. Go forth as the divine being you truly are, and watch as your life and the life of the world is transformed by the creative force of your own wonderful human imagination. April 2025 is the appointed time for the universal recognition of this truth. But for you, the time is now. The place is here. The power is within you. Use it wisely. Use it lovingly. Use it to create a world that reflects the divine nature of its creator. You, the awakened I am.